On Superstars this time, 5 seriously funny men with very different approaches to making people laugh. British television star Ricky Gervais has been accused of being obsessed by his own celebrity.
I cannot tolerate this type of chaos. I mean, this is a museum.
After playing a cameo in the Ben Stiller comedy Night at the Museum, he was happy to add fuel to the flames.
It's mainly my film. Ben Stiller, I think Ben Stiller's second on the poster.
You get top billing.
I get top billing, yeah. And I got half his money as well.
The same year, he was determined to make his presence felt on the red carpet at the premiere of Christopher Guest's latest offering for your consideration.
Business with pleasure. My pleasure.
Despite only playing a minor character in the satire on Hollywood's obsession with awards, he felt well qualified to explain the film's message.
It's not having a go at anyone, really. It's a sad state of affairs, and you can say you don't care about awards, it doesn't matter, but you do. Even if you boycott them, you don't care, you're annoyed that they're happening, so it is affecting you. Right. You know, everyone's got a standpoint on awards. I love them. I like the red carpet, I like the feel of it.
And that's probably a good thing. Since winning his first major award in 2001 for the BBC smash hit The Office, he's been inundated with invitations to award ceremonies and VIP events on both sides of the Atlantic. After taking home an armful of BAFTAs for writing and starring in the mockumentary sitcom, he went on to score a Golden Globe Award for his portrayal of the cringeworthy yet lovable David Brent. In tandem with the release of their next project, The Extras, he and writing partner Stephen Merchant collaborated on an American version of The Office starring Steve Carrel, who was understandably nervous about reprising a role already immortalised by Ricky.
You make the mistake, you go on the internet and you start reading things and they say, oh, how's that gonna happen? You know, no one's gonna be able to do this, and this is gonna be terrible, and they're gonna put a laugh track on it, and the guy playing Ricky Gervais say, you can't be Ricky Gervais, you guys suck, it's terrible. And I read this, and I'm, you know, walking in the kitchen, I say, honey, this is gonna be bad, they're gonna hate me.
In fact, the US version of The Office went on to be a huge hit, and is still scooping its own fair share of awards. While many critics have been surprised by its success, Ricky understands its appeal.
Well, you get the picture. Thanks, Pam.
I think 2 reasons. One is even though it sounds and seems on the face of it quintessentially English and parochial, it's not. It's actually, there were global themes. It's, you know, wasted life, oppression by, you know, the boss or whatever, boy meets girl. And the other reason, I think, is that all my influences are American. I stole from America. I stole from Laurel and Hardy, Christopher Guest, things like Larry Sanders, The Simpsons. So all my influences are American, and they're put in, and I just make them, I think, apply to everyone, hopefully. So I think that's why it crossed over well.
The show has since been remade for France, Germany and Quebec. Meanwhile, the accolades have been pouring in for The Extras, in which Ricky plays the downtrodden background artist turned sitcom star Andy Millman, who fails to win the respect of his tactless agent, played by Stephen. In 2007, Ricky was juggling 4 Emmy nominations, including a nod for his performance in The Extras, and another as producer of the American adaptation of The Office.
It's great if you're an American to be nominated for an Emmy, so for a Brit, it's amazing. And, you know, to get 4 nominations, I mean, all of which I'm going to lose, so, you know, but I'm celebrating now. I'm showing off about them before I lose them on the night.
Luckily, he still had something to celebrate at the end of the night, after carrying off the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series for The Extras.
That one's...
Next, he starred alongside Robert De Niro in the fantasy film Stardust.
If you know what I mean. I'm a late.
I didn't read the script. I just said, I'll come along and make stuff up, and they went, all right. And they said, well, Robert De Niro. And I went, ooh, is there anyone better? And they went, no. I went, OK, I'll do it.
And if rumours about Ricky's soaring sense of self-importance carried any weight, Working with the legendary actor certainly taught him a thing or two about humility.
He's quiet, I mean, almost gentle. You have to, he speaks really quiet. He's such a gentleman, and that's why he's the best actor in the world, because he's an absolute gent and he cares about his craft. And you've hit the nail on the head, no one knows anything about him, and that's why I like him, and that's why he's got the reputation he's got, because he's in it for the art, and he's great.
If Will Ferrell seems to have a penchant for making films about sport, that could be because he once dreamed of being a sports broadcaster. In fact, he graduated from the University of Southern California with a degree in sports information. Whether or not his studies came in useful while preparing for the 2007 comedy Blades of Glory is hard to say. But at the LA premiere, he was playing down the degree of difficulty involved in turning tricks on the ice.
I had skated a little bit, but this was pretty much starting from scratch, which it's very easy. Ice skating's not as hard as it looks.
But what about the death-defying skin-tight Lycra outfits?
They were actually surprisingly comfortable, and John Hader and I were both jealous of each other's outfits, to be honest, because he got to dress as a peacock, you know, I got to dress like fire. It's tough. It's tough when you have such amazing costumes.
The year before that, he delighted thousands of screaming fans by turning up to the premiere of his film Talladega Nights, The Legend of Ricky Bobby, in the strip of the England football team. Talladega Nights told the story of NASCAR racing sensation Ricky Bobby, whose win-at-all-costs approach made him a national hero.
And that makes 11. Ricky Bobby wins it in...
Despite his well-rounded knowledge of the sporting world, Will hadn't started out a NASCAR fan when he and Adam McKay started writing the film.
Like I said, I knew nothing before, and I don't know if I would call myself a fan. And then as we started going to races and getting to meet the people and being around the sport, we really kind of got hooked. And so, yeah, now I'm a fan.
But it didn't take him long to get up to speed.
And we just started thinking about NASCAR, and it was just so popular that we couldn't figure out why anyone wasn't using it for a comedy, and that's kind of how it started.
You don't drive with your eyes, you gotta feel the road.
The story of a man who could only count to #1.
Given the popularity of the sport, it's perhaps not surprising that Talladega Nights went on to be a smash, pulling in $148 million at the box office. It also won him the off-screen admiration of his co-star John C. Reilly.
Will is one of those guys, I just look at him and I start laughing, so it was definitely hard to keep a straight face, but I cracked him up a few times too, so.
His next foray into sports, semi-pro, took him into rather more familiar territory.
Well, it definitely was not good at ice skating. Probably basketball for sure. I mean, getting to drive fast cars was pretty fun, but definitely scary. But basketball's something I've played my whole life, and it was really kind of fun to be able to kind of step into something where you felt comfortable and didn't have to worry about the actual mechanics of the sport.
Yes!
In the film, which co-stars Woody Harrelson and Andre 3000 of Outkast, Will plays a former singer-songwriter who takes the proceeds of his hit Love Me Sexy and buys a basketball team. It goes without saying that the Flint Tropics are the worst team in the league. After honing his improvisational skills with the famous California comedy group The Groundlings, he served 7 years as a cast member on Saturday Night Live. He left the show in 2002 and got his big screen break playing Frank the Tank Rickard in Old School in 2003. The following year, he wrote and starred in The Anchorman as 70s news reporter Ron Burgundy. As a member of the so-called frat pack, which includes the likes of Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, he and his mates regularly pop up in each other's films. Over the past few years, he's had cameos in movies like Starsky and Hutch, The Wedding Crashers, Zoolander and Winter Passing. He's also starred in a remake of classic 60s TV show Bewitched.
After weeks of searching,
Far from being perturbed by Will's frequent departures from the script, the film's writer, Nora Ephron, gave him free rein to improvise and have fun.
What you look like when you
What?
wiggle your nose.
However, playing the rather more restrained role of IRS agent Harold Crick in the dark comedy Stranger Than Fiction, Will was kept in line by a serious cast of dramatic A-listers, including Emma Thompson and Dustin Hoffman.
Have you met anyone recently who might loathe the very core of you?
I'm an IRS agent.
Get bent, tax man!
Everyone hates me.
And Dustin gave him full marks for managing to play it straight.
He acted this part. I mean, he took it in order to not fall back on his, on the comedic gifts that he has, and I think he pulled it off, but you'll see for yourself.
While working as a waiter, Billy Bob Thornton once served legendary writer-director Billy Wilder, who suggested he try his hand at screenwriting. He took the advice and went on to write, direct and star in the 1996 sleeper hit Slingblade, which catapulted him to superstardom and earned him an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. Over the next few years, despite directing and writing other films and releasing 2 roots and rock albums, his professional exploits were overshadowed by his marital status as Mr Angelina Jolie and their rumoured relationship foibles. Not only did she have his name tattooed on her arm, there were reports that they wore files of each other's blood around their necks. Whether or not those rumours were true, Billy Bob has certainly confessed to 1 or 2 other idiosyncrasies. As well as having an obsessive-compulsive disorder, he has a phobia of antiques and certain types of silverware. These may or may not have influenced the marriage split in 2003, which left Angelina with custody of their adopted son Maddox. It was Billy Bob's 5th divorce, after which he came to the conclusion that marriage wasn't for him. Aside from the divorce, 2003 was a great year for him, with 4 movies hitting theatres. Playing a love-struck billionaire in the romantic comedy Intolerable Cruelty alongside George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones gave him an opportunity to witness firsthand the genius of Ethan and Joel Cohen.
Those guys are magicians. I'm not sure how they do it, but they do it. Whatever they set out to do, they always end up being successful at it.
And Billy Bob got to share in that success as the star of their black comedy Bad Santa. Not only was it a box office success, his turn as the foul-mouthed Kris Kringle confirmed Billy Bob as a leading comedy actor. Then he bagged the part of the grisly baseball coach in a remake of the 1976 classic Bad News Bears.
All right, Tubby.
Employing the same writing team as Bad Santa, it drew inevitable comparisons.
Maybe because Bad Santa wasn't that long ago, they're going to draw as parallels. But really, it stops at, the guy drinks beer and smokes cigars and he curses. But you can say that about a lot of people.
Thankfully, the similarities ended there.
I'm so sorry.
He's the exact opposite of what he plays in his movies.
Unlike his crabby, misanthropic alter ego, the real Billy Bob is a pleasure to work with.
He's such a nice guy. He's done so much for us. We went to his house to have a pizza party and stuff, and it was so much fun. And, he got us all these cool gifts and stuff.
He's also very generous with his praise, paying tribute to deserving peers like Robert Duvall.
I can't think of anybody in the world that deserves this more than Bobby, and I'm really proud to be here. Thank you.
Not everyone is a fan of character comedian Sacha Baron Cohen's work. Throughout his small-screen career, which began on Windsor TV in the 90s, his outrageous alter egos have earned him as many lawsuits as awards, by tricking unsuspecting celebrities, politicians and members of the British public into revealing some very politically incorrect tendencies. However, it wasn't until the international release of his 2006 mockumentary, Borat: Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, that he started offending people on a global scale.
My name is Borat. I'm a journalist for Kazakhstan. My government sent me to USA to make a movie film.
His portrayal of the anti-Semitic and sexist Kazakhstani journalist, not to mention his depiction of the former Soviet Union nation as backward and primitive, prompted the government of Kazakhstan to run television ads and a 4-page spread in the New York Times, attempting to control its image. Kazakh President Nazarbayev also embarked on a PR trip to New York in the lead-up to the film's release. And a Kazakh embassy spokesman also went into damage control.
Still, the country is unknown. That's why perhaps he chose Kazakhstan as his fictional home country. But really what he presents is not Kazakhstan, as many people know. It's kind of Boratistan. It's a country of one.
There is a man named Roman Vasilenko who is claiming to be press secretary of Kazakhstan. Please do not listen to him. He is Uzbek imposter.
Quick to capitalize on the free publicity, Borat staged his own press conference.
Recent advertisements on television and in media about my nation of Kazakhstan, saying that women are treated equally and that all religions are tolerated. These are disgusting fabrications.
But it wasn't just the politicians who were up in arms. Sacha and fellow producer Jay Roach also copped it from 2 villagers from Glod in Romania, where some of the scenes set in Kazakhstan were filmed. They claimed villagers were paid a few dollars each to bring animals into their houses and perform humiliating acts, believing that Sacha was a famous documentary host. However, their $30 million lawsuit was thrown out for being too vague. Much of the movie, which follows Borat and his producer's exploration of America in a dilapidated ice cream truck, features unscripted vignettes of Borat interviewing and interacting with Americans, who believe he's a foreigner with no understanding of their customs.
Is this a rice?
That's cheese also.
And this is a rice?
That's cheese also.
And what is this?
That's cheese.
And what is this?
That's cheese.
Needless to say, he succeeded in upsetting thousands of people along the way, from redneck spectators at a Texan rodeo to an uptight gathering at a private eating club. He may also have unwittingly been the catalyst for the split between Pamela Anderson and Kid Rock. The singer was said to be appalled at his wife's humiliating participation in the film. Thankfully, however, some people got the joke. In fact, despite only enjoying a limited release in the US, it went on to gross a massive $261 million worldwide, on a budget of just $18 million. It also bought Sacha a place on Time magazine's list of 100 people who shaped the world.
It is sort of social satire. There are points he's making about racism, about how we interact, that you know, you can laugh at it on one level, but there is a smart level going on as well.
Sacha, who is himself Jewish, has explained that playing a racist character allows him to lull people into a false sense of security and get them to expose their own racist beliefs. He's become something of a legend amongst his production team for his ability to stay in character even when things turn nasty. On the eve of the release of the film's DVD, his Borat co-star Ken Davician described a particularly tricky situation.
We were stopped by the Dallas police, who took us outside and made us stand against a wall and took all our licenses, and then they wouldn't give my license back, and I'm trying to explain in Armenian. The problem is that I'm yelling in Armenian, but nobody knows what I'm saying. Sacha was speaking Hebrew, so they're absolutely, and I can't break character and say in English, they didn't give me my license back, stop getting into the ice cream truck, I'm not leaving Dallas without my license.
The ability to submerge himself so completely in his character no doubt helped him win the 2007 Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy. It's also earned him roles in films like Talladega Nights and Sweeney Todd. He's also rumoured to be preparing to play Freddie Mercury in a biopic of the late singer. While Sacha Baron Cohen has been busy making enemies, New York comedian Adam Sandler seems to have everyone eating out of his hand.
He is generous, he's brilliant, he's funny, he is in charge of every detail of every movie he makes. And I am so proud of him, I don't know what to do.
I think because really what you see is kind of what you get. He is truly one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. I've never seen him be rude, I've never seen him be unpleasant. He's got time for everybody, he's incredibly generous, and he's really funny. He's a great bloke.
Adam Sandler's one of the funniest, if not the funniest, comedian working today. The guy makes incredible movies, and I'm happy and honored to work with my friend.
Such glowing testimonials seem to be commonplace amongst those that get to share the screen with the former Saturday Night Liver, who broke into film with the 1989 B-movie Going Overboard. One of his biggest fans is his wedding singer and 50 First Dates co-star Drew Barrymore, who found it easy to play his love interest.
Absolutely, yeah. He would make me laugh all the time and change things up when the camera wasn't on him and it was just on me. He would be messing around, and all my responses to him are really genuine because I absolutely adore him, so it's easy to be in love with him, you know?
They really...
No, it's terrible. What's the pudding for?
That's something else. You gonna get pancakes?
He got a similar review from his punch-drunk love co-star Emily Watson.
Romance in the movies. Well, it's very easy to fall in love with Adam for a start. It was very simple, and it's very delicious being in a romantic film. It's lovely.
The 2002 film by Magnolia director Paul Thomas Anderson marked a turning point in Adam's big screen career.
We were calling you gay boy and you got so mad. Are you gay now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Until then, vehicles like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore had been universally panned by critics. But the dark comedy of Punch Drunk Love, which gave him an opportunity to really flex his acting muscles, garnered great reviews. Adam has fond memories of the film for different reasons.
It was the first time I've ever kissed a girl in a movie where I was sitting next to my girlfriend, and she actually wasn't mad at me. She was like, oh.
In his 2008 film You Don't Mess with a Zohan, Jackie gave the thumbs up to Canadian actress Emmanuelle Chriqui.
So you have never cut hair before?
I have cut my own hair and several dogs. I have the Paul Mitchell book.
The film also features Adam's good friend and fellow leading funny man Rob Schneider. The loyal pair have made a habit of making cameo appearances in each other's films for years.
We're not fair weather friends. You come into our life, we'll keep you around if you want to be there.
In fact, it was Rob who got to give Adam the big introduction when the time came to cement his superstar status in front of Grumman's Chinese Theatre in Hollywood.
As we are about to immortalize Adam Sandler and put his footprints next to the legendary film giants like Charlie Chaplin, Clark Gable, John Wayne, Marilyn Monroe, and James Dean, a simple question comes to mind. How the hell did this happen?
The loved-up comedian was savouring the moment alongside his anger management co-star Jack Nicholson.
Today's one of the first times when I'm just sitting back and doing what my father told me and enjoying the moment and enjoying the fact that this is a terrific feeling. And I appreciate everybody sharing this with me. I just want to do my time.
After that, he went on to lead an all-star remake of the 1974 film The Longest Yard, which may not have wowed the critics, but went on to rake in nearly $160 million at the box office. In 2006, he produced and starred in Click, as a father whose fast-track career interferes with his family life, until he discovers a TV remote that can actually control his life.
You look beautiful in that pink sweater.
Honey, you remember what I was wearing?
I love you.
I love you too, honey.
Yeah.
With the release of 4 more films the following year and another 2 scheduled for 2009, Adam may well be wishing he could hit the pause button in real life.